This is a pre-assembled stair with a pre-fit rail installation. Cooper Stairworks has been building and installing quality stairs throughout New England for over 30 years. This video will give a great overview of our stair systems. We have made some of the finish cuts prior to the filming of this video that are normally made in the field. The sections of our stair show that we use only 5/4 treads in the construction process of our stairs. The tread and riser are joined by a tongue and groove. Tapered wedges are used on all routed stringers and are glued and stapled in place. Glue blocks are applied to all miters, and along with glue blocks, all risers have pocket hole screws fastening the riser to the underside of our treads. This century-old method of stair building is considered to be the best in our industry. When the stair is delivered to the job site, it is wrapped in a 6mm plastic with tread guards applied for protection. The stair should be installed during the rough framing, anytime after the roof and windows are in place and the house is weather-tight. Before you start the installation, remove the stair packet, which is stapled to the backside of the stairs. Review the contents. The 5-year warranty stair plan and some basic installation instructions are included. You will want to review the stair plan one more time with existing field conditions. If it is an L-shaped stair, we will provide the size, height, and location of the platform. Next, you'll want to check the finish floor height and the floor thicknesses as shown on the stair plan with actual site conditions. Check to see what height the baseboard trim will be. Now is the time to make any stringer cuts. It is much easier to make the cuts that will allow another piece of trim butting into it to be at the proper height. This should be done before the unit is in place. The stair will have a sticker on any bottom riser that hits a platform or floor. It will show what scribe has been included to compensate for the thickness of the finish floor. There are basically 2 ways to shim the stair stringer off the rough wall to allow the drywall to slide down later between the studs and backside of finished stringer. Shown here are 2 strips of 5/8 inch thick stock that has been ripped from scrap. They are nailed about 1.5 inches parallel from the top and bottom edge. The other method is to cut the shims into short sections and slide them down between the studs and backside of the stringer. Lift and position the lower portion of the stair. When setting any stair in the rough, great care should be used to ensure it goes in level and plumb. Before screwing it into place, notice the installer is using a scrap piece of landing tread as a gauge, making sure the top riser is down 5/16 from the platform subfloor. We always use a 5/4 landing tread. Most times the landing tread has a 3/4 inch rabbet to accept standard flooring. You'll notice an alignment sticker on the top riser of the first unit. This will help when you install the upper section on L-shaped stairs to make sure it's in the correct position. This part of the installation is very important for the pre-notched newels and the pre-fit rail to align properly when they are installed later. When in place, screw the stringer as needed under the stair where the fastener can be hidden. It saves time later going back and filling the holes. Try and get at least 2 or 3 screws at each stud. Under normal conditions, a 3-inch screw is used. Lift and position the upper portion of the stair. Once again, when setting the unit in place, be sure the upper portion is placed in the correct position. Use the alignment sticker on the top riser of that section at the platform as a guide. We suggest that a small cleat be installed behind any riser that sits on either the floor or platform. This should be glued and screwed in place. It will not only help keep the bottom riser in place, it lessens the chance of any flex in that riser when flooring is installed. The installer can also put a fastener into the face of the riser that can be hidden below the floor line. The bottom section of the stair and the small level at top are curved. We provide the plywood templates for those curves to make framing that area much easier. In this case, we would send the balcony plywood plate out first, before the stair is delivered, so that section can be framed first. The plywood plate for the curved section would be delivered with a stair to be used when framing that section prior to the drywall being installed. After the stair is completely fastened into position, it is now time to frame any rake walls or sections that are part of the stair design. When framing rake walls, care should be taken not to force up the stair out of position. Up to this point, everything has been considered the rough set of the stair. This is a very important part of the process. When done correctly, it will also save time installing newels, rails, and balusters. Now it is time to hang drywall. Shown here is a mock section that represents that process. After the sheetrock and plastering are completed, it is now time to start the finish installation. We use a fastening system called Fasten Fast for attaching our volute newel onto the starting step. The fastener is made of 2 steel discs, and 12 3½ inch screws hold them in place. A 3/4 inch treaded rod then connects the newel to the step. Just screw down the newel clockwise to tighten into place. Apply as much pressure as needed to assure a tight fit. Next, we will install the newel post at the platform. Please note that the newel is notched at the proper height to pass building code requirements. The treads on the stairs have also been notched. Dry fit the newel first and make any slight field adjustments if needed. It is clearly marked for the location on the stair. You should always apply glue before it is fastened to the stair. Always check the newel to be sure it is square off the riser and plumb in both directions. In general, repeat the same for all other locations. The newel at the top was checked and is being installed. The newel has been notched to achieve not only the proper rake rail height, but we have also considered the height of the balcony rail. After the newels are in place, we can now install all of the landing tread. You should measure the exact length needed so the landing tread slides into the routed stringer and fits tightly against the side of the newel. This all adds to the structural integrity of the newel. Glue should always be used under landing tread and then either nail or screw and bung. With a curved landing nosing and rail, it may be shipped in 2 or more pieces, depending on the size. It will then need to be connected together in the field. To ensure a perfect fit, we manufacture off of the same CAD drawings to produce the rail, nosing, cove, and fascia. When the landing tread ends on a balcony against a wall, it should be mitered and returned back to the wall. For this demonstration, we are going to install a portion of the curved fascia. It may come as a laminated section, like this one, or a piece of flexible trim. We also include baseboard for the platforms, unless otherwise noted, that can be installed before or after the flooring contractor is finished with the platform. Cove molding and base cap molding is also supplied. Next, cut the cove molding to length. Install under landing tread on stair. We have provided the cove for the curved balcony, which is installed against the fascia. Position pre-drilled rake rail with a volute and gooseneck. The stairs come with all the rake rail holes drilled into the rail and fittings. Note how all the fittings are attached to the rail. In the case of L-shaped stairs or very large sections of rail, we will make a dry fit of the connections in our shop whenever possible. The installer will only have to make the finish cuts when the rail hits the wall. You'll notice the rail bolt sticking out of the rail end. This is one of the new patented zip bolt rail bolts. The zip bolt is inserted into the rail with the help of a 7 mm hex that is built on the shaft. A 5 mm hex driver or Allen wrench can be used to tighten the rail and fittings, most of which have been prepped in our shop. Set the second rake rail in place, glue and fasten just before tightening the rail bolt. You can see how quickly the zip bolt helps make this connection. It can be installed using power. It is far easier than trying to start a nut on the end of a bolt and fitting a wrench into the 1-inch hole. Join the remaining portions of rails with the same procedure. You will have to sand the fitting joints and blend them together after the glue has set. We do most of the sanding when we dry fit the rail in the shop. The holes for the balusters on all the level rail and landing tread where balusters are used must be drilled in the field by the installer. It gives a spot, if needed, to make an adjustment for varying field conditions. When balusters are being cut to length, extreme care should be taken. This example shows how to measure and allow for the pin to go up into the rail and down into the landing tread that will be nailed later. This would only be the case if a baluster hole that has not been prepped in our shop with an insert is needed, which happens most times on the balcony locations. On our curved and flared stairs, we use a threaded insert in the tread and a machine screw in the baluster. On this type of stair, all rake rail balusters have been cut to length and numbered for ease of installation. If a baluster happens to fall in the area of a rail bolt or on an easement, the balusters need to be cut shorter or scribed to the bottom of the rail and nailed. Each baluster should be nailed at the top, going through the tapered end into the rail. The last step of the install is to apply the base cap, which is all part of our stair system, unless otherwise noted. Here we are just showing a sample nailed into place. The cap is supplied for the top of all wall stringers, bottom of open stringers, and for the finishing touch on the baseboard and fascia. Any paint grade material used can be ordered primed from our shop. There is a huge savings in job site labor with our system. The system is designed as a kit that can be easily installed by most finished carpenters. We also offer installation in our service area.